A worn motorcycle sits beside a flawless new machine, and the owner smiles. He says the old bike has more soul, then treats the modern rider as shallow. That comparison reveals the question: when does affection for an old vehicle become superiority? The first answer is simple. Old can communicate status just as powerfully as expensive, especially inside a group that values rarity, authenticity, mechanical involvement, and insider knowledge. The machine may look ordinary to everyone else. To the right audience, that is part of its value. A vehicle can become more than transportation. It may form part of how you understand yourself. A comment about the machine may then feel like criticism of your taste, competence, independence, or character. Choosing differently from the majority can also signal your preferred identity and the identity you reject. That difference does not automatically mean superiority. Someone may love an old car because it resembles one from childhood. A motorcycle may connect a rider to an earlier version of the self. Restoration can offer patience, focus, and the satisfaction of bringing something neglected back into use. That fair explanation matters because old vehicle owners are not one psychological type. Some collect, some restore, some enjoy mechanical involvement. Others value appearance, physical controls, history, or memories of people they once knew. None of those motives requires looking down on anyone. Nostalgia can help people feel continuity between past and present. An old dashboard, a familiar key, or the shape of a fuel tank can become a bridge between different stages of life. The vehicle may be a private thread holding parts of the self together. The first crack appears when private meaning starts demanding public comparison. This machine feels authentic to me becomes your machine is fake. I enjoy understanding how this works becomes people who prefer convenience know nothing. A personal preference has quietly turned into a ranking system. Perceived authenticity can provide control and connection. Mechanical parts are visible. Inputs feel direct. The owner may understand what a lever, cable, switch, or sound is doing. That involvement can feel grounding. But felt authenticity is not objective superiority. It is an identity benefit attached to an experience. Difficulty can deepen that benefit. Learning an old machine, diagnosing problems, and developing practical skill can create genuine agency. The relationship feels earned rather than simply purchased. Inconvenience is no longer only a flaw. It becomes evidence that the owner invested attention, patience, and effort. That is the first uncomfortable turn. Difficulty can become a credential. The harder the machine is to understand, the more meaningful competence may feel. Yet competence becomes superiority only when it is used to rank people. Skill can solve a problem or become proof that everyone without it is lesser. Specialized knowledge also creates cultural capital, meaning knowledge and taste that earn recognition inside a group. One person notices a badge, a control, a mechanical sound, or a model detail that most people miss. The information has social value because the intended audience understands what outsiders cannot see. This creates an invisible status language. A new luxury vehicle announces price to almost anyone. An old machine may announce discernment only to people who know the code. That narrow audience can make the signal feel more exclusive. The owner is also displaying the ability to recognize what supposedly deserves respect. Community strengthens the effect. For some riders and drivers, vehicle identity becomes part of self-concept. Clubs, gatherings, shared rituals, technical conversations, and familiar objects create belonging. They tell people, "You are one of us." But every boundary defining an inside also produces an outside. A boundary does not have to become hostile. It can protect tradition, preserve knowledge, and help people find others who share an interest. Still, the same boundary can become a hierarchy. Insiders are then treated as more serious, authentic, or intelligent than casual owners and modern drivers. Now the flattering story contradicts itself. The owner may claim independence from status and mainstream approval, Yet that identity can depend on approval from a smaller, more selective group. The person rejects one audience, then works to impress another audience that speaks a rarer language. One opinion is not enough to reveal this pattern. Neither is owning an old vehicle, enjoying repairs, or criticizing one modern design. A darker interpretation needs several behaviors appearing together. Without that cluster, the fair explanation remains stronger. The first marker is repeated contemptuous comparison. Modern owners are regularly described as shallow, lazy, fake, or incapable of understanding real machines. The purpose is no longer to explain a preference. It is to place another owner lower on the social ladder. The second marker is how knowledge is used. Expertise can invite a beginner into the culture, or embarrass the beginner for not knowing the rules. When obscure information becomes a purity test, cultural capital has changed from a shared resource into a gate. The third marker is disproportionate identity defense. Mentioning an old machine's practical limitation produces a reaction larger than the criticism. The defense no longer stops with the vehicle. It appears to protect personal worth. Together, comparison, exclusionary expertise, and fragile defensiveness make superiority plausible, not proven. The deeper answer is status pivoting, which means changing the arena where success is judged. A person may reject the conventional scoreboard of price, luxury, newness, or convenience. Then a second scoreboard appears, measuring authenticity, rarity, endurance, mechanical effort, and insider knowledge. For some people, the old car or motorcycle becomes a way to win a different status contest, one judged by authenticity, effort, and insider knowledge rather than price or newness. They may not have abandoned status competition. They have changed its rules, claiming the taste required to recognize what is truly valuable. That is why visible simplicity can carry hidden prestige. The object does not need universal approval. Recognition from the audience that matters to the owner is enough. Being misunderstood by outsiders may even strengthen the identity. Because obscurity makes membership feel selective, the contradiction is sharp. A person can dismiss obvious status symbols while using an old vehicle as a subtler one. Independence is praised, yet tribal recognition remains essential. Mass taste is rejected, while the right audience is still expected to recognize superior taste. None of this proves that a particular owner is compensating for failure elsewhere. A social mechanism cannot read an individual's private motive. The same vehicle can provide nostalgia, creative satisfaction, practical mastery, sensory enjoyment, historical connection, or friendship. The title applies only when the status function appears through behavior. That limitation makes the dividing line clearer. The important question is not whether someone owns an old machine. It is what the owner needs that machine to do socially and emotionally. The useful test is behavioral. Watch whether knowledge creates connection or humiliation, whether pride survives another person's preference for convenience, and whether the owner can admit limitations without treating the comment as a personal attack. Those reactions reveal more than the model year ever could. The cost of superiority is easy to miss because the owner may possess real skill. The knowledge can be earned. The restoration may be difficult. The attachment can remain sincere. But once another person must appear inferior, expertise stops being only a source of agency. It becomes a tool for protecting rank. That changes the community. A beginner can approach an experienced owner and leave more curious, or leave feeling that enthusiasm requires passing an unwritten purity test. Shared knowledge can preserve a culture. Guarding it as proof of worth can shrink that culture instead. Superiority also makes identity fragile. If the vehicle proves that you are deeper, tougher, or more authentic, practical criticism threatens more than the machine. A reliability problem, a comfort advantage, or another person's preference can feel like an attack on the identity built around it. There is a more secure form of pride. Mastery can matter because it gives you agency. History can connect you to people and time. An old machine can remain beautiful, difficult, personal, and meaningful without becoming a courtroom where every modern owner is found guilty of bad taste. The practical self-check is simple. Ask whether your knowledge invites people in or keeps them beneath you. Pay attention when another person's enjoyment reduces your own. Then notice whether the vehicle makes you more curious and generous or more dependent on proving that outsiders do not understand. Return to the two machines parked side by side. Their age does not reveal the owner's motive. Price cannot settle the argument. What matters is the behavior around them, whether the old machine becomes a bridge to memory and mastery or a pedestal built from comparison. Loving an old car or motorcycle is not the problem. Needing someone else to look shallow so that your machine makes you look deep is the problem.